Hey everyone. Imagine for a moment that Earth suddenly stopped spinning. No gradual slowing down, no warning signs, just boom, the planet comes to a complete halt. The ground beneath your feet would feel steady, almost too steady. Everything you thought you knew about how the Earth works would change in an instant. So what would happen next? Well, let's dive in and see what this crazy situation would actually look like. But before we start, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy learning about cool things like this, make sure to hit the bell so you never miss a new video. Now, let's get into it. We know that Earth has been spinning on its axis for billions of years. This spin affects almost everything around us, from the weather to the oceans, and even gravity. Earth rotates once every 24 hours, moving at a speed of about 1,670 kilometers per hour, or about 1,040 miles per hour at the equator. That's faster than the speed of sound. And this spinning doesn't just move the air and water around, it has a huge impact on how everything works on the planet. So, what happens if Earth suddenly stops spinning? Let's start with the basics and talk about gravity. Normally, the Earth's spin makes gravity a little weaker at the equator. This is because the force created by the Earth's rotation pushes things outward from the center. It's a little bit like when you spin a toy top and the sides of the top bulge outwards. This force makes gravity weaker around the middle of the Earth, so people and objects feel a little bit lighter there. Now, if Earth were to suddenly stop spinning, that outward force would disappear. What does this mean? Well, gravity would become a little stronger at the equator. This would cause people and objects to feel heavier. Everything at the equator, like the buildings, trees, and even animals, would weigh a bit more. It's hard to imagine, but suddenly feeling heavier everywhere you go would be a strange and uncomfortable change. Next, let's think about what would happen to the oceans. Earth's spin is important for keeping the oceans in balance. If the Earth stopped spinning, the oceans would continue moving for a while. The water at the equator, which had been pushed outward because of the Earth's spin, would rush toward the poles. This would cause huge waves, some of them more than 500 feet high. These giant waves would flood cities that are close to the ocean, like New York, Tokyo, or London. In fact, many parts of the world could end up underwater. This flooding would cause massive damage to coastal cities and completely change the planet's landscape. But it's not just the water that would keep moving. The air would keep moving too. Remember, the Earth's rotation makes the atmosphere move at about 1,670 kilometers per hour. That's over 1,000 miles per hour. So, if the Earth suddenly stopped spinning, the air would continue moving at that same speed. The result? Unbelievably strong winds. These winds would be far stronger than anything we've experienced. They would be more powerful than the strongest hurricanes, knocking down trees, buildings, and anything else in their way. It would be like the worst storm imaginable, but all over the planet at once. Now, let's talk about the weather. Earth's spin helps keep the weather balanced. It spreads heat from the sun evenly around the planet. But if the Earth stopped spinning, half of the planet would always face the sun, and the other half would be in complete darkness. On the side that is always facing the sun, temperatures would skyrocket. It could become over 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit, which is boiling hot. On the other side, where it's always dark, temperatures would drop drastically. It could get as cold as minus 100 degrees Celsius or minus 148 degrees Fahrenheit. These extreme temperature differences would create crazy weather patterns, with strong winds, storms, and maybe even tornadoes. Plants and animals would have a hard time surviving in these extreme conditions. Life on Earth would struggle to survive with such dangerous weather changes. Let's think about how day and night would work if the Earth stopped spinning. Right now, Earth rotates every 24 hours, which gives us the cycle of day and night. If Earth stopped spinning, there would be no more regular cycle of day and night. One side of the Earth would always face the sun, and the other side would always be in darkness. This means one side of the Earth would experience constant daylight for months at a time, while the other side would be stuck in complete darkness. Without the natural cycle of day and night, it would be impossible for living things to adjust. Our bodies, plants, and animals rely on the regular rhythm of day and night, so this change would make it difficult to survive. Let's now think about what would happen underground. Earth isn't a perfect ball. It's slightly bulging at the equator because of its spin. This bulge is a result of the outward force created by the Earth's rotation. But if Earth stopped spinning, that bulge would begin to flatten out over time. The planet would slowly become rounder. But this change wouldn't happen easily. The Earth's crust would have to adjust to the new shape, and this would cause massive earthquakes. These earthquakes would be so strong that they could destroy cities, cause landslides, and trigger even more destruction. The sudden stop of the Earth's spin would shake things up, both on the surface and deep underground. One more thing to think about is Earth's magnetic field. This magnetic field protects us from harmful radiation coming from the sun. It is created by the movement of molten metals inside the Earth's core. The Earth's spin helps to keep these metals moving, which creates the magnetic field. But if the Earth stopped spinning, the movement inside the Earth would slow down or even stop. Over time, this would cause the magnetic field to weaken or disappear. Without the magnetic field, the planet would be exposed to dangerous levels of radiation from the sun. This would make it harder for life to survive. Now let's ask the big question. Could life survive if Earth stopped spinning? The short answer is probably no. With all the extreme changes happening, from massive flooding to strong winds and crazy weather, it would be nearly impossible for most animals, plants, and humans to survive. The lack of day and night would also make it hard for any living thing to adjust to such a harsh environment. It's hard to imagine life continuing in such an unstable world. However, there might be some life forms that could survive in small, isolated places, like deep underwater or in caves, where the conditions might remain more stable. But on a global scale, the Earth would become an unlivable place. In conclusion, if Earth suddenly stopped spinning, the world would become a very different, dangerous place. Gravity would change, the oceans would flood cities, the air would create unimaginable winds, and the weather would be impossible to predict. There would be no more regular day and night, and life would struggle to survive. Earth's spin is what makes our planet a safe and comfortable place to live, and without it, the planet would be unrecognizable. It's a wild thought, but thankfully Earth is still spinning. So let's enjoy our spinning world while we can.